All right, we got to talk about the price of Bitcoin today. Some news that came out about an hour ago that is causing some of the price action that we're seeing. A little update on Bitfarms, as well as a lightning round on the Bitcoin miners, as well as some of the other plays that we've been talking about. Let's get right into it. First of all, Bitcoin is up 1.23% today. The fees for Bitcoin have gone up sharply today. You can see the upper range is going for 258 when just the other day the upper range was closer to the lower range, is right now at 77 cents. It was about like 80 some odd cents a little while ago. We are seeing that spike up. That's good. We want to see that in terms of for the miners to benefit from that. One other thing is a piece of news came through about an hour ago. I'll let you read it here. I'll pause it for one moment here so I don't get flagged for this. It showed up from Politico. It's also being repeated by Reuters and a few other sources, and that came out at 12:35 p.m. today. And if we drill down onto Bitcoin and the 30-minute chart here, you can see that that was this candle right here. Somebody knew something ahead of time too, because all three of those candles were pretty bad. But let's just see what the move was from the beginning of that candle all the way down to where the low was. It moved down 1.52%. After that news came out. It is rebounding since then, but like that's a pretty significant move off of a small piece of news. So there you go. That's what's going on there. That's a bit concerning. Don't love it. Kind of upset. Not going to talk about it any further than that. All right, little update on Bitfarms. So let's talk about Bitfarms and the RIOT proposal. You already know my opinions on it. My opinions are that it was honestly an insulting amount, and I'll show you why I think it was an insulting amount right now. Let's go here. This is the price to book ratio for Bitfarms. Currently, that ratio is 2.24. An average ratio is 3. So currently, this is about 30% short of an average ratio, meaning that Bitfarms is 30% undervalued based on its price to book value. And that price that it's reflecting is $2.25, give or take a few pennies. And RIOT's price was slightly above that, meaning they are offering it less than the average book price, book to price value that the company should get. So if we go 2.25, right, $2.25 times by 1.3, representing that extra 30%, you land at $2.92, 292.5. That would have been more of a fair offer for purchasing Bitfarms based on current price and ratios. So honestly, RIOT kind of spat in their face, offering 230 the other day. And honestly, we will likely see this get way above this ratio here as price or as time goes on. But yeah, anything lower than this, honestly, is just insulting for Bitfarms, and they should say no to anything lower than this. Honestly, they shouldn't take even that. Even I think that's too low based on where the price has traded before in the last 6 months, and there's only growth in the future for them, meaning that they will very likely get above those previous high prices from before. But 292 is kind of the baseline that I would expect an offer to come through and that would be putting it just at the bottom of it'd be putting it just at the bottom here of boom, just at the bottom of these two peaks here, right? Not even at the top of them, just like at the bottom of those peaks. 292 is where that would land, and that would be honestly a fair valuation of Bitfarms, especially given its growth prospects, and that would still get the buyer a deal, plus give Bitfarms at least what an average price to book value would be for a company. So that's honestly why it was really insulting. Also, Bitfarms is reported to have other buyers sniffing around. We haven't found out who they are yet, but we can speculate that it's Marathon or CleanSpark. Those are the only two with enough cash on hand other than RIOT to buy this thing. So it's going to be CleanSpark or RIOT. At some point, we're going to find out what those proposals look like. And how high they're willing to go. Are they willing to go up to that price around $3 to secure this acquisition or not? I don't know. We'll see. There were also questions that I saw in some of the comments about what happens to your shares and your options in Bitfarms if RIOT or another company were to buy them out. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that RIOT was the one to purchase them. In that situation, your Bitfarms shares would become RIOT shares, and your options You would have it would depend on the deal that Bitfarms and Riot makes in relation to those, but you could either be paid out for your options, in which case you would get a cash settlement for them. The other option is that Riot could convert those options contracts to shares. It really just depends on the deal that they cut. So you wouldn't lose anything. You would just end up with Riot as your ticker, and then it would either be cashed out if it were options, or converted to shares, or if it's just shares, then your shares convert to Riot shares. And that's all. That's all that happens. It's nothing really too crazy or scary that's going on there. Now let's see what's going on. Bitfarms is actually up 3.21% today, up at $2.25. We are going to hang out below that 230 range for a little while, at least until we find out what other offers are on the table, or until Bitfarms comes through with some really amazing news. So we got to find out, is another company going to offer more than that? And will Bitfarms have some like amazing news come through before then? Until that time, I think we're going to sit here and flag for a little while between 230 and 220 for a bit. I don't see it doing much else until we get some sort of news catalyst to drive us higher. It could be a hash rate increase. It could be a CEO is found for Bitfarms. It could be that another company offers them a higher price. We're not sure yet, but when that news comes through, we'll definitely know it, because we'll get a nice big old green boy coming through. If it's good news, if it's bad news, then we might not see that. But I do think it'll probably be good news that comes through next. That's my feeling anyways. Of course, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It's just my opinions. Take a look at Riot. Riot was actually down. Oh no, it's up 0.5%. It's red, but it's up 0.5%. This candle is really ugly though. It's very similar to this candle here on May 28th. That was followed by a big red candle. Not terribly big red candle, but a red candle all the same. These are inverted hammers here with small wicks at the very bottom, but they're not really at the bottom of the move. They're in the middle of the move. So I'm going to count them more like dojis and consider them to be more indecision than anything else. This is in a bit of a downtrend. I don't love the looks of this. Riot's going to need some good momentum here to come through soon. They're going to need to get some more hash online, or become more efficient with the hash that they do have here after the halving, and really just do something positive here, other than making terrible offers to other miners to get this price moving on Riot. Let's take a look here at Bit Digital. How's Bit Digital doing today? It was up 1.61%. A lot of this, the miners started out pretty good this morning, and then just started bleeding off throughout the day, especially at the end there when that news came through. Everything kind of took a dive at that point there with that. But yeah, they're hanging out at 252. It's just coiling right now. It's not doing a whole lot. Not a lot of the miners are doing a lot right now. It was just hanging out just below the 200-day SMA. It's got to get above that thing. Bit Digital just needs to get above the 200 and crush it over the 200. The fact that it's stalling so long gives me a little bit of pause and concern that it might come back down to like that 234 level, where the 20 and the 50 are waiting to catch it. But this could also be a flag that sends it higher. It's looking kind of like it's becoming a pennant, so we don't really know which way it's going to go right now. And getting this doji after doji after doji right now, just below the 200-day moving average, it looks like Bit Digital is waiting for some good news to come through, some kind of news catalyst. Again, just like with Bitfarms, some sort of news catalyst needs to come through to send this thing flying higher. And that's just kind of what we're stuck waiting for right now. Let's take a look at Mara. Mara is down at down 1% today, trading at $20.04. It came right back down to my line at 1980 again today. It might have even touched it perfectly. Might even gone a little bit lower than that today. I did load up on two more Mara call options today for July. I am looking at this handle coming to through a break. I'd like to see it break up. I don't see price really falling further than 1980 unless some kind of bad news catalyst comes through for Mara. But this is looking like it's coming towards the bottom of this descending trend line, so it probably wants to bounce up a little bit. I'd like to see it get out of it and come up to this green line again at $22. That would be really good for my call options if that were to happen anytime soon. But that's what's going on with Mara. It is looking a bit weaker in terms of the way it's moving, but I don't mind that, given that it's still in this descending channel. It's looking like it's very controlled, a very controlled selling pattern that's coming out of it right now, and has been for several days now. And we're looking for at some point that to become relieved and to go to the upside. The fact that we are holding above the 20 gives me confidence that this is likely to break to the up more so than to the downside. Of course, that does depend on news events, black swan events, global, current events, all sorts of things, and especially Bitcoin, which is also sensitive to all of those things. So if Bitcoin goes bad, this goes bad. But if Bitcoin decides to stay where it is or go higher, this is going to do decently well in the near future. So let's take a look at CleanSpark next. How is CleanSpark doing today? Down 3.98%. That's pretty rough. I'm not sure why CleanSpark is behind all of its peers today, but I don't like it. It's down at that 1662 level. It looks like CleanSpark is below the 50, the 20, and the 5. I don't think it'll come all the way down to the 200 at all, but it does look like 15 could happen again in the next few days on CleanSpark if something doesn't change, or if there isn't some sort of good news that comes through for CleanSpark pretty soon here. We could be seeing it get back down to those levels. Let's take a look at the Cipher warrants. What's going on with Cipher warrants today? They popped up 7%. They went 7 cents up today. It's really been getting into a tight coil all the way back since May. The whole month of May got into a tight coil. Then it sold off, went right to the center of my ascending channel here, which is also the $1 mark that I've got marked out here, and then bounced. That's actually pretty good, a pretty good outlook there. I was hoping it'd go a little bit further under $1 so I could pick up some more shares of this. It didn't do that, so I didn't pick up any more. I'm still just riding with my 1,000, but I am looking for it to bounce off pretty hard down here. I think this is likely to be a dip before the rip sort of situation with the warrants. Now let's take a look at Core Scientific. What's going on with Core Scientific? It came down pretty dramatically today, 6.5%. I was expecting that to be yesterday's candle versus today's candle, but yesterday it pumped up another 5.44%, which happens. I mean, it went totally parabolic. Now that we've come down a little bit, we took a breather. We came right back down to the 5-day moving average like I said it would yesterday, but instead it did that today. That's okay. Sometimes things take a little bit more time to do what you think they're going to do. That's why patience is so important in all of this. Now from here, honestly, it could go higher from here. It could bounce off the 5 and continue on going for those highs up here at 610, and then we'd be in price discovery mode, and who knows where it could go from there. Or if it crosses beneath the 5, we're likely to come down the majority of this large green candle here, which was the on May 24th, and possibly come back down to like that 430 range on Core Scientific if the 5 moving average does not hold up price at this point in time. Let's take a look at IREN. I think IREN's flagging right now. It could hang out right where it is for a while, and then wait for this 20 to curl up into this space between $6.65 and $6. And then I think price likely, unless some more good news starts to come through, I think it'll probably bleed off for another week or so, get back into that space, and then from there use that as a launching pad to go up higher, even higher than that 815 that it did before. That's what I'd be looking for on IREN at this time. That's all I've got for the miners. Let's take a look at MicroStrategy. Let's see what that thing's doing today. MicroStrategy is down 4.8%, even though Bitcoin is up today, so that's pretty interesting. It is in this a bit of a descending channel here. It looks like it wants to come back towards the 50 and the 20, which are going to converge down here at 1539. I would be looking in this area between 1539 and 1345, maybe 1400 to maybe pick up a swing for the summer on MicroStrategy. That's what I'm looking at here. I'm thinking about potentially doing that if it gets down there, or if the 20 catches up to it up around the $1,500 level. I'd be looking at that for MicroStrategy. So that's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm not acting on it. I'm just being patient, waiting for it to come to me. Once it comes to me, I'll be looking at maybe doing a swing out for the summer on MicroStrategy once it gets down to those levels again. And or if it breaks above, the $1,700 level, then I'd be looking for that same swing to the upside. I just would be catching it at the higher in the move than I would have liked, but it's still the move. Let's take a look at Block. Block has been bleeding off pretty badly, actually. It's ever since it failed to take out 73.66. It's been just dropping, came all the way to the 200-day down at 64.99 right now. It went even lower than my box and my line here, which is pretty interesting, especially considering that they are technically still like a Bitcoin play. They are diverging from the move. So that's a little bit interesting to see, and exactly an example, and I'll have one more later today, and a perfect example of why patience is so important. We need to wait for these levels to break. You must wait for the level to break. If you don't wait for the level to break, you're going to get burned. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. So part of this is patience. So even if you're wrong, so we look for plays, we find setups, we decide what we're going to do in certain scenarios, and then we wait for it to start to happen. And then once you get confirmation, only then, once you've gotten confirmation, do you enter into any of these trades. Otherwise, you will be losing money. And trust me, I've lost thousands trying to front run anything, not waiting for that confirmation. We did not get the confirmation. I did nothing with Block, and I didn't lose anything, but I was wrong about my play. But that's okay, because I was patient and I didn't enter in prematurely, which would have led to losing money. All right, so that's the important lesson here. A play is only a play until it's confirmed, or a setup is only a setup until it is confirmed, and you must be patient for that to confirm. Otherwise, you're going to get burned. One more thing, Adobe. So Adobe did the same sort of thing to us. It came down 6% today. It went right to the top of this, couldn't manage to break it, came all the way down to my deep red line down here in one day. All the way down, even further than that. Like, wow, that's crazy. Right to the midline of this descending channel here. I'm expecting probably some sort of a bounce off of this tomorrow, but this is depressing. And again, a perfect example of why patience is key. Waiting for confirmation candles is absolutely necessary to enter a play, because if you had gotten into, even when it touched my line up here, this orange one, even when it came up and touched that, if you'd gotten in early thinking that meant it was going to go higher, you'd be just absolutely burnt to a crisp right now from this play. So again, the setup was nullified on the smaller time frame, so we wait. Just wait. All I do is wait. Wait to see if it's going to do anything else. Now, if it gets any lower than this box here, I'm going to say that this larger cup and handle, not happening. And in fact, it might come even lower still. So this ended up being a flag here inside of this descending channel, and it's coming lower. Now, where did it go? It actually did gap fill. Phew, man, this thing could come down to 436. It could come down. Honestly, it could even find a final resting place around $401. If it goes beneath this orange trend line that I've got here, then in that case, I'm going to go ahead and say that this thing's going to not be going up for a while, and I'd be waiting for it for a long time. So I'd just bother. I wouldn't even be looking at it anymore for a long time at that point. So this larger cup and handle still could be playing out, but again, I'm just waiting, watching, looking for that confirmation. If I don't get the confirmation, I don't enter, and I don't lose money while being wrong. So you're wrong until you're right. All right. So it is outside of this larger descending channel too. What are the fibs looking like? Oof, not so good. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.